Looks like we're back.
Sorry, everybody. Weather-related internet. Apparently, it hit our whole area, and
Oh no!
I had to run upstairs. Yeah, even the wife upstairs was like, "Oh no, the internet's out." And so yeah. So, but we're back.
So
Sorry.
it's all good. So what are some of the holiday traditions for you? The Christmas traditions.
I mean, we do like last night. The kids and Aaron spent the night decorating the whole house. They really get into that. They pull out all the bins and tubs and but I have a lot that I've kind of carried on from when I was young. You know, we as a family go get a tree. We try to do like one or two kind of there's a nativity, like a live nativity that we love to go do together. And the kids love that I kind of keep all the traditions alive. You know, we do the present. We've done this thing with the kids where Aaron and I don't open up a Christmas Eve present, but we have one for the kids. So they always, every year, they open it together. It's one gift in one box that we keep every year. And they always get a pair of PJs, socks or slippers, a movie, or a book. It's been turning into a book lately. And then...
have you considered giving them a copy of the Gospel by Gen Z?
Not yet. Okay. That has not yet. And then some hot cocoa and popcorn, and then we watch, Christmas movies. And then I read on Christmas Eve, since they were babies. I've read the same book that we got from a friend the night before Christmas, before they go to bed. But we do all of the kind of cheesy family fun holiday stuff, and it's always been, getting up in the morning, we get our coffee, before the kids, they can open up their stockings first, but without us. But but now they're not excitable young kids anymore, so we have to wake them up and go, "Hey, it's Christmas. Do you want to come open some stuff up?" And they're like, "Oh yeah," and then they drag their teenage butts out to the living room, and yeah. So, but besides that, we just love the holiday.
You do chicken wings on Christmas Eve, right? Is another one.
That is another tradition. Yeah. Instead of oftentimes it seems that there's family or friends around, and you end up doing two big, you do a Christmas Eve dinner and then you do a Christmas dinner. And we're like, we're not doing that. We're doing one Christmas dinner here. If anybody wants to come to us, we're doing it here, but we're not going anywhere else. And then on Christmas Eve, we're like, we're going to be mellow. And so we have decided that what we do every year is we make a bunch of hot wings and just smoke them and have a bunch of different sauces and dips and veggies, and that's it. That's all we do. And we just make sure that it's as simple as possible, so we're not overstressed about anything. We already have the meal planned and ready, and it's become kind of a catchy favorite of our family. Everyone loves it. So
I saw a thing on the internet that I want to try. It's someone made like a Jell-O salad type of thing, those Jell-O cakes that are in the like dome shaped mold or whatever, and it's like neon green Jell-O with like maraschino cherries in it and whipped cream on top of it, but it also has like chunks of gorgonzola cheese in there just to like
just to mess with people.
Bacon bits and weird. It's like, it looks really festive, but then someone tried it and they're like, this is the worst thing in history. Like, that would be a fun thing to show up to a party at and just kind of like innocuously set it down and then just leave,
Hilarious. Yeah.
Maybe don't try that at home.
Going in with some Jell-O and some cherries, and all of a sudden you get just a punch in the face of this pungent cheese. It'd be great. But yeah,
happy holidays. It sounds fun.
I think next week, I would like to challenge you to writing out a list of your top 10 favorite Christmas movies.
Okay.
So I'm going to put together so that way we do that for our movie reviews. And, but yeah, top 10 favorite Christmas movies. And, yeah, I would love to see which ones yours are.
I'm on board. I can do that.
Okay. So, but on to the show.
On to the show. We have stuff tonight. What do we have tonight?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about first and foremost that the darling of Seattle, the Lex Luthor of the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Bill Gates is at it again, and it's speculation on whether or not he's continuing. We all know he is, whether or not he says he is. He's just shifted funds and gears into different ways to doing what he's doing. But he is currently and always playing God. But whether it be through vaccines, whether it be through technology, or whether it be through climate altering nonsense, which seems to be his newest, or buying up all the farmland, or whatever the guy's got his dirty little mitts in, creepy little pedophile mitts, allegedly, mitts in. This time he is trying to block out the sun.
That'd be
using
your friend and mine, Bill Gates, right? That's who we're talking about.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
That is who we're talking about. So Bill Gates pushes use of sun dimming technology at climate tipping point. So he did an interview with Axios last month at Caltech University Microsoft founder, Bill Gates, who frequently masquerades as a doctor and scientist, which he is neither, admitted that he has funded geoengineering research and that someday the world might need to deploy sun dimming technology. Now, there's a couple of points to hit here. First and foremost, this man is going to be the gatekeeper, the key master to what ultimately will become Skynet. And then the robots will take over and we will end up blotting out the sun to keep them from getting solar energy, and he will destroy humanity. He's never seen The Matrix, and it's absolutely ridiculous that anybody thinks that they have the right to do this, but that they have a full understanding of what would happen if you were to do such things.
Right.
And it's like what Dr. Malcolm says in Jurassic Park, which I go to pretty frequently, which is, just because you could do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
And they don't seem to really care about that type of moral
implications of any kind. Yeah.
Right.
I'm with you. So the experiment you're referencing, I was aware of. It's just been a while. Whether he's still at it or not, which I presume there's at least still a high degree of interest in, is the Scope Hex. That's the stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment where they shot reflective particles that were aerosol driven into the stratosphere to attempt to collect data on reflecting the sun back into space and not actually making it to Earth, like a calcium carbonate dust type of thing. And so he's still, whether it's ongoing or not, he's still preaching that message as recent as a week ago at Caltech, huh?
Yeah,
or a month ago.
Sun dimming. Yeah, as of a month ago, he's still talking about it, saying sun dimming would likely involve injecting sulfuric acid particles into the upper atmosphere, mimicking the cooling effect of volcanic eruptions. And so he is looking in multiple different ways to do this. And from what I gather is that this seems to be his primary focus right now. And I mean, then you start to scratch your head and start thinking about, like, didn't they just see a very off-colored aurora borealis in Florida a couple months ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even in the winter. It's like, uh, it's out of season. It's way out of hemisphere. It's uh, the wrong colors. It's the wrong spectrum of colors, and it is happening more frequently. So, correct me if I'm wrong. When I grew up, the aurora borealis, you didn't get to see it. You got to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because only people in Alaska could see it and take pictures of it. Only people in Norway could do that. Like, even the northern part of the continental United States, you get to the tippy top of Idaho or Washington, and you'd be hard pressed to see it once every other decade.
I was about to say,
and
there was one occasion in my life living on top of a mountain in North Idaho where it was ice cold and super crystal clear, and you could maybe tell there was like deviation from darkness kind of thing, where there was like a faint sparkle perhaps on the right kind of night. But this was like trying to catch a silver bullet while you're on a speeding train going in the opposite direction. It was not forecastable the way that like the Weather Channel can tell you now that you're likely to see the northern lights and XYZ location on this night kind of thing. It was like, what?
Right. It wasn't forecastable.
Right.
It never dipped below that particular hemisphere. And also what really struck me as odd, as somebody who has had to artistically interpret the aurora borealis on skin for 27 years, up until a certain point, there were no photos of this occurrence that were in
you can use the word phenomenon. It was extraordinarily rare. Yeah. Like
yeah. But like there was no pictures that these things appeared at all in the infrared spectrum.
Right.
So, and there's a scientific reason for that. Those lights and what they're doing is actually based out of the ultraviolet spectrum. So purples, greens, blues, much like my background here.
Right, yeah.
But it being in the infrared spectrum, where now you're seeing them with hot yellows, almost like greens, almost yellows, and this variants of very hot pinks going into kind of orangey corals and reds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like immediately that struck me as odd, because 2 years ago is when this really started happening, where they predicted it and they said, everybody go outside and take a look. And then everybody started getting headaches and got real sick from it. And I went out there and I looked and I was like, that ain't right. Like, something's wrong. This isn't the aurora borealis. This is something completely different. And how can we see it this good down here? And furthermore, how did you predict it?
Right.
Like, these are things that have never happened, and they're acting as if this is just common occurrence. That, oh yeah, this something happens all the time. Now you're starting to see that it's happening a couple of times a year, and they're just dropping it down all the way down the hemisphere. You're seeing it was seen in Nevada, it was seen all over Oklahoma, it was seen into Florida. It should not be able to be seen that low in the hemisphere.
Right.
Like, plain and simply, scientifically not possible. This is not the aurora borealis. This is something else. And something tells me that this evil Bill Gates has something to do with this.
Or stuff like this, right? Like
stuff like this.
My question is always like, why are we fucking with this stuff? Like we talked about those cloud seeding operations where they're like, well, we're just going to create rainstorms. And then like a flood in Texas happens coincidentally the very next day over the very same area that they were trialing this stuff. And now we're getting more excitement spun up around this Scope X type of studying for chemistry in space. Like, I don't think noodling around with the forces of nature, so to speak, are any kind of a good idea whatsoever. To your exact Jurassic Park point of like, should we do this? Probably not. Like you can come up with a million environmental reasons. Well, it's because the Earth is superheating and stuff. And it's like, well, okay, logically speaking, and let's not bring science into this at all. Let's just talk about other stuff. How is it that in every investment perspective in some of the most booming areas in America that would be predicted to be completely underwater, London, Florida, parts of South America, like, why is it that like you can still invest in properties here and the banks are still issuing 30-40 year loans on stuff like this if they themselves believe that these areas would be completely underwater? So no science involved, just one way of looking at it. And then you go into, well, what are the key facts about climate change that are radicalizing so many people with all this money to try and fuck with the forces of nature to such a degree? And the jury's out on the relevance of literally any of the data points that they have, because they like to slide pollution metrics in as per capita. All right, well, that means California is the most pollutant place on planet Earth because per capita is introduced in the measurement. And I don't think it's a good idea. I'm with you. I don't know if there's a direct correlation, but it is, or causation, but it is. It makes me grumpy to think that people are out there noodling with this stuff because the consequences are unknown. Like we don't know what's going to happen. Like the sci-fi fan in me goes, yeah, Matrix is possible because, we could block out the sun to try and prevent the machines from taking over. But like, what are we doing? Honestly, like, what are we doing?
Right. And that's the thing, is that when the science is not even conclusive and it's out on just the basic tenets of this type of field, the atmospheric fields or the environmental fields, you have conflicting evidence on both sides. You can't even agree on it, but you're taking drastic action against certain things that you've already just decided upon that this is a thing, when it is not settled science. And like you said, where the shorelines should be gone by this point, and it's not. We're not warming up. Everything's like relatively normal, secular, but normal.
The number that sticks out to me is the ocean water's rising 10 feet. Right. And it's like, okay, that is a significant, like Florida's gone, New Orleans is gone, London's gone. You know what I mean? Like if 10 feet, and that's what they kept harping on. But back to Bill Gates for a minute. Like this is the same guy that is behind all kinds of like, I'll be the bastion voice of humanity for all of our sake. And it's like, well, nobody appointed you person numero uno to speak on our behalf, because he's been on about alternative foods as well, which is kind of annoying. And if you look into it, I think Spain just banned all of the synthetic foods from Bill Gates's outfits and all of his companies for use in their country whatsoever. I'm like, good stance, because here's some fun stuff about Gates. He's argued that wealthy nations should eventually transition to 100% synthetic beef to meaningfully reduce global emissions, right? We're back on the emissions train. Suggesting that regulation or consumer habit changes could facilitate the shift. He believes while developing countries need agricultural improvements, rich countries should leverage technological solutions. Well, Bill Gates, I would ask that you try to use Google or Bing, if you like, to find some photos
I'll bet you he doesn't use Bing.
I think he uses Google to figure out how to get to Bing. Or Bing how to get to Google. I want you to look up the tire graveyard in Kuwait. Have you seen this personally?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want you to talk a little bit more about 30% of the global emissions by their metrics, which let's say I believe in all the climate metrics. 30% of the global emissions, according to Google and a bunch of other sources and all kinds of studies, 30% is China. So like, why does China not have initiatives for green energy? Oh, wait, they do. I'm sorry. They have eco-city programs. They're launching government programs to encourage the construction of eco-cities that integrate environmental considerations into their urban planning. With 90% of the Chinese cities adopting eco-city programs that you can get into if your social credit score is high enough.
Oh,
So,
good Lord.
what are we talking about?
Here we go. That's what we're talking about, is that
Is this just some other
they're
method of
it's a
scaring
leverage
people into
point.
control?
It would seem that that is the case. It would seem that when you take it to its inevitable end, you're like, well, what does that mean on a grander scale? Like, what is the end result of where you need this to go? You need compliance. You need to people to comply with your environmental plan, with your scientific strategies. And the only way that they can do that, the only way that you can leverage it, the only way that you can actually implement it is by a social credit score that's attached to an eco score. And so that is ultimately the plan. And if you can gameplay, if you can war game it out and realize that, because no one wants to look past the veneer of the surface argument of like, we're trying to help humanity.
It's going great for England right now, and their premise is oh, we're doing all this leverage and control and surveillance and imparting all of these net new laws we're coming up with so that we can meaningfully get a grip on our immigration.
Right. Now, and then if you tie this all into what has been the open playbook of the World Economic Forum and exactly what they've been saying, and Klaus Schwab and all of them who have been like literally pointing out, oh, no, you will own nothing and be happy. And we are going to build this society based around control vectors to better society and take it to the next step of evolution. That's their whole goal. And it is a control vectored one world government push, and they're going to use whatever like vehicle to get anybody and everybody to the same destination. And if it's like vegan food options and non-meat, or if it's environmental, or if it's a religious or any other type of vehicle, it's all funneling towards the same direction.
Yeah, and I can hear the keyboard warriors logging out right now at how whack job conspiracy theorist this show is all about this week. I really encourage you to look at the global statements of places like the World Economic Forum on what is right for humanity. Take a look at the playbooks around how most of these people fervently believe that there should be a hard cap to the number of human beings on Earth. And then actually take a look at the implications of that. Yeah, like these may be adjacent programs. Some of them might not even be related, but if you pull that thread long enough, it is a method of control. Like, that's plain and simple.
They want 500 million people on the planet, 500 million, down from 6 billion. And this is not them secretly behind like closed doors. Right. They're having open like lectures and forums about it to UN level type of delegates. Like, this is not something, they write books about it. You can buy the books. They spell it out perfectly. These are people who are pulling the levers and paying the bills for guys like Bill Gates to implement these kind of things in order to funnel us all there. This isn't this type of stuff. Right. Like, this type of stuff we'll get into
happening.
But yeah. And so it's something that I think, at what point do we tie up Bill Gates, not in a literal sense, but in a kind of figurative sense of tie him up and say, you don't get to do any more of this. Like, you're not allowed. He's not allowed. Do you know that he is no longer allowed in India? Like, he has multiple.
Yeah, Windows 8 wasn't that popular out there, huh? Jeez.
Human rights violations. To the point where they will arrest him on site in India and other places down in Africa and a couple of other. He can't step foot on the continent of Africa. He cannot go into India because he has warrants out for his immediate arrest due to his vaccine trials that killed and maimed like hundreds of thousands of children on both of those areas, and they were like, this is a war crime. He did this, came in to try to help us, and ended up killing so many people that if he ever steps foot here again, we will put him under arrest. This is not speculation. This isn't some deep corner of the internet. This is reality. This is on paper. They will not allow that man on that continent.
Turns out if you skip Geneva Convention class and you just trial a bunch of drugs on human people, there's penalties for that. I just don't get it, bro. It irks me to no end because the resources for people like this are limitless. And it's when it comes to the scalability and the adoption where everyone should rise up and be like, this is dumb. But the reason they continue to succeed is because we have ambassadors of science, true people with hard degrees like Bill Gates and Greta Thunberg, like spinning up all this fear porn everywhere about how we're all supposed to have been 10 feet underwater by now.
Well, it's crippling,
enabling more studies like this.
To younger generations. It's crippling mentally, to younger generations who think that there's no hope. They have created a irreparable worldview of anyone under the age of, I don't know, probably 40 at this point, that we're all doomed. Unless, and they're here to help fix it, but like they'll never, like the world is all, there's no hope left. And that's kind of part of the driving factor of this, is kind of to strip the intelligence and the hope away from younger generations so that they'll be more compliant, that they'll comply to any and all of these cockamamie schemes that they're going to try to funnel everybody into cattle stalls. And it makes it very easy to do that if every kid, think of an 18-year-old kid right now thinking, I'll never own a house. I'll never I'll never have a normal life. The world is going, global warming is going to destroy us all. We're all going to die.
Commerce capitalized, really, truly capitalized over the pandemic on leasing your entire life to you. Well, no, if you subscribe to this, then it will unlock or enable the feature that you're after. So as long as you can maintain the level of subscription or rent or, addiction to food that's on the grocery store shelves, or alternative foods, synthetic foods that we can put whatever we want in there by people who are drug trialing and apparently wanted for war crimes in India and stuff. Like all of these things are not a good idea, but they're all methods of control. Can't buy a house, can't eat this type of thing, can't say shit on the internet now in certain parts of the world, like England. Less and less and less civil liberties on hand for you to just live your fucking life and make your own decisions. Like it's gruesome.
It is gruesome. That is the proper word for it. It is gruesome. So, but now the only way really, and it's a tall order, but the only real way you would think, to kind of cripple these type of agendas is taking the money away from them. And I hate to be that guy, educate people in school on hard facts.
Right. Maybe they can be like, that sounds like bullshit.
Yeah. But the problem is that also takes money, and these guys are funding the schools. These guys, so, but the thing is now that they, all currency is digital at this point, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about fiat currency or otherwise, but it's all digital. But now they have workarounds where they can even hide their finances through cryptocurrencies. And they can do nefarious things such as human trafficking through cryptocurrency. They can do all of these other kind of nefarious schemes and move money around and move plans and make things happen undetected through hidden electronic currency measures.
I mean, we
You
saw
can
that with the early
track.
adoption of the dark web, right? Like all the
Yeah,
early warning stuff about the Silk Road, which a lot of that was rooted in deep truths. There was a lot of extraordinarily gross things going on there. But with crypto, you're right. That's a completely blind transaction, and it's designed to be such. So that does enable
yeah,
nefarious actors to participate in things like that. Um, you
yeah.
know, plus or
So,
minus showing up on an Epstein list. I'm sure that stuff still goes on. I know it. I live near a city
well,
where
yeah.
that stuff goes on. So
And speaking of Epstein, and speaking of cryptocurrency, did you see the Bitcoin drop
I
this
did.
week?
Yeah.
And it was a dramatic, sharp drop. And I don't think it has anything to do technically with Epstein. I can't imagine that his involvement helped. But uh, it, a bunch of people dropped, like cashed out, like a ton of people cashed out. Um, and
Yeah,
so
I
Bitcoin
drew a
experienced.
quote from this too. Here's a quote. Quote, Bitcoin seems to be suffering from fading enthusiasm across crypto as well as the tech world. In this end quote, and that's from Juan Perez, the director of trading at Monex USA in Washington. The negativity at the moment seems tied to growing concerns about the increased market concentration and questionable sustainability of overall growth in that sector as a whole. And that includes tech and AI and everything else. Considering
Right.
the issues of infrastructure as well as less cooperation and trade globally, it's pretty powerful words. Like Andy's right. Like I think the sentiment is souring a little bit. Now I don't know if the dip and the sell-off is save my wallet in time for the holidays and tax season, or if it's a true shift in uh essentially
The
investor
culture.
sentiment, right? But it's
Yeah.
definitely an early warning sign. Yeah, I mean, it went as low as 8%, which was like plus billions
Yeah.
in deficit versus its valuation just a week prior. So it went down 6 and then down 8 was last time I looked at it. But I don't invest in crypto. It hits my RSS feeds, you know what I mean? So you probably have more on this than I do, but yeah, that's a pretty powerful statement. Like, and I yeah, kind of agree.
Well, it dropped from Bitcoin experienced a sharp 5% drop on Sunday,
Uh-huh.
yesterday, or 2 days ago, falling from 91,500 to 86,950 within 3 hours, marking the worst
Mm-hmm.
November performance since 2018. The flash crash triggered approximately 539 million in liquidations, affecting over 180,000 traders, predominantly long positioning holders in Bitcoin and Ether. The broader crypto market also declined, with Ethereum dropping to around 2,841 and XRP down to about $2.06, contributing to a total market capitalization fall below 3 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
The downturn was driven by multiple factors, including uncertainty surrounding Federal Reserve interest rate policy, declining risk on investor sentiment, and volatility in the AI related stocks, like you just said.
Yeah.
But there's also evidence to suggest that a lot of people spooked. Other than it just being kind of shaky financially, and everybody kind of spooked on that. But people are starting to recognize that this cryptocurrency is being used by big player nefarious actors and governments to do human trafficking, to do
Well,
other
really
types
anything
of,
they want, right? Like,
right, exactly.
just
And
pop
so,
quiz because it's fun. How long is a trillion seconds?
oh,
We're talking valuation here. I want to keep things in perspective. Just
I'm
wild
going to
guess.
say in upwards of 300 years.
Very close. It's 31,709 calendar years.
Yeah, that was super close. Wow. Yeah.
So when you now move that to dollars, and that's one market segment, it's a pretty steep decline.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
Just anyway, wanted to throw that out there.
So Jeffrey Epstein had connections to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as revealed in emails showing he sought advice on crypto taxes and discussed Bitcoin with notable figures like Brock Pierce and Larry Summers.
Mm-hmm.
These interactions occurred after Epstein's conviction as a sex offender, highlighting his interest in the financial aspects of cryptocurrency, meaning he's like, I need to move money around. I need to move people around. How do I do it without it being traced? So he invested heavily into Bitcoin. Um,
I'm not
yeah,
laughing at the
so
action. I'm laughing at the way you said it. I got to move this money around and these people around.
yeah, right. So, but yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with Bitcoin meetings and connections. Emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate reveal that he had discussions about Bitcoin with notable figures, including cryptocurrency entrepreneur Brock Pierce and former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers.
Hey.
These meetings occurred after after Epstein's 2018 conviction as a sex offender. Pierce described himself as the most attractive or active investor in Bitcoin. During a conversation with Summers, who expressed concerns about the potential impact on his reputation if he lost money in Bitcoin investments, Epstein's interest also sought advice from U.S. tax policy, and it goes on and on. In a related context, Harvard's management company significantly increased its investment in Bitcoin, making the largest publicly disclosed holding in their portfolio. This move reflects a broader trend among institution investors to explore Bitcoin as a hedge against economic uncertainties. But with what has happened because it was on a steady upward track, and I was like, I've got friends who don't really understand it, but they had enough money to invest in it and had people advising them to do it. And they were stoked. They were like, look it's climbing. I just bought a little bit. And it's like, and that was like the last year. Now, after the Epstein announcement, but then also just the uncertainty and the lack of excitement towards cryptocurrency and people going, I don't really, the thrill of it isn't really there. And the reality of it isn't really there. People are starting to recognize this is kind of just Minecraft money.
Well, isn't it funny how every single media plot point, whether it's like widely reported or not, there has not been a single positive plot point around crypto ever. Like, you remember the CEO scandal from Sam Bankman-Fried, the FTX dude?
Yeah.
And he fleeced all these people and was convicted on like wire fraud, securities fraud, commodities fraud, money laundering, all that shit centered around his, I don't remember what, FTX, FTX and something else. Anyway, he's 25 years in prison as a result of those convictions. It's just like, I've never seen a single positive, like, and here's the logical alternative to currency. Like,
right.
It's worth whatever today. It is still worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it, right? Well, yeah. Cool. I'll pass.
Yeah. But in the future, you're like, well, yeah, we should all look to the future, but we should look wisely into the future. Right. And I don't see, like, no one as vehemently or enthusiastically as they possibly can describe cryptocurrency to me, and how it works. No one can plug all the holes, because I'll have questions, and you and I have sat on your couch and talked about this, and I'm like, but doesn't that mean this? And you're like, technically, yeah.
Well, yeah, but, like I will not argue that it's flawless. There are plenty of holes in it, but the duality nature of it at its core is that its concept, the fabric of how it was designed was to be unregulated. And in order for it to find validity in commerce and trade as humankind knows it, it has to be recognized and regulated. So like it's the snake eating its own tail in a lot of ways. And so for that and many other reasons, yes, there are big holes.
No one, you're not even, you're not crypto bro by any
No.
stretch of the imagination. And
They've tried to sell me on
but
it. Lord knows
same.
they've tried. Like, I don't.
And when they've tried to enthusiastically tried to sell me on it, I go,
Right.
okay, then explain to me what it does that you like, can I pay my rent? Well, yeah, but you have to convert it over into regular currency to do
Right.
that. I was like, well, that just seems like money with extra steps. Like, why would I do that? Like, that just, and they're just like, well, because it could grow. I was like, yeah, but it could also not grow, and it could also get unplugged, and it could. There's so many reasons why it
It could
just
also
doesn't.
be shot into space and reflect the sun rays back into outer space. It's not real.
Right.
100%. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
and then what if you lose access to your wallet?
Yeah. Then it's all
You're
gone.
fucked.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just so much to it that just doesn't. And I'm one of those archaic, you know, idiots that I guess I want cash to stay alive. I try to pay cash for everything. I will drive an hour to pay a bill cash rather than pay it online if I can help it. There are certain things that are required to pay online, but I want to keep cash alive. I think that is integral to the fabric of the country, to the fabric of the economy. I think if we kept cash transactions alive as much as possible, I get infuriated if a business doesn't take cash because it's highly illegal. And you have to accept the currency of the land, and it is.
I got a free
Without
coffee
it-
once. Did I tell you about that?
No.
I tried to pay in cash and they didn't know what to do. They're like, well, you have to pay a card. And I'm like, well, no, I don't have to do that. But also, I don't have card. I have cash. You want to take this cash? And they didn't know what to do. They were like, I mean, I guess we need a big sign that says no cash or whatever, but you can just have it, I guess. I'm like, I'm trying to pay for it, you know? I'm not stealing from you. It's like, and they're just like, they got a manager and they're just like, we don't know. We've never done this before. You tap the card on the thing and magic happens and that's how money works. And I'm like, but it's not though.
Right.
Okay.
You know
You
that,
can't,
right?
you don't have a change drawer. Like okay. Thank you for the free coffee, I guess. Like, and in truth, I did not have a card on me. And so it was just like, it was bizarre to me.
But even if you had 15 cards on you, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, it is required that businesses doing business within the United States have to accept the currency that is the legal tender. It is the legal tender of the United States, and you have to accept it. Like, to say that as a policy we don't is a breach of like federal and state laws.
And there's there's plenty of YouTube videos of people that got bullshit parking tickets and they pay for them with a wheelbarrow full of pennies. They can't turn you away. Like they can send all the security guards and stuff to yell at you all they want, but they have to take it, and most always they do, and it's hilarious. Like I
love it. So I just found that interesting that, Bitcoin was currently crashing. I mean, I've railed on cryptocurrencies for a long time, but and I don't take joy in people losing investments. I have friends that are probably kind of sweating this out right now. But I honestly have just kind of raised an eyebrow at the entire concept for a long time, and to see it kind of buckle under the pressure of itself, like it has no outside influences, so therefore it is literally buckling under whether or not people are interested, is more or less what it boils down to. It's like, are enough people interested to keep this thing believable? And if not, then it's no longer believable and it crumples under its own weight. And that's really what I've been kind of speculating the entire time about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So
what kills me is the fact that crypto is in the tech sector because
Yes.
as that falls, so does many, many other things. And just as this is almost everybody's retirement, because here's the S&P 500 index. I'll just give you the top few. NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Broadcom, Meta, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway. 9 out of 10 of the top 10 in the Fortune 500 S&P index right now are tech sector. So if you have a lot of index funds that are S&P 500, which is usually the root of many portfolio weights, this will impact you if it drags the entire sector down with it, because they've populated the valuation too high as a result of some of these sub crypto indexes. So it will hurt everyone. That's the scary part. It's like I've railed against crypto since day one, as well as a lot of AI and all the stuff that I'm just kind of vehemently like wagging a finger at. But that is the lion's share of a lot of people's retirement, and tomorrow money and stuff is tied up in investing in that sector, because that comprises 9 out of 10 of the top 10 S&P 500 companies. Scary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my feelings on.
We're just
on
full
the
of holiday
crash,
cheer tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I was just thinking about that because I know what I want to talk about next, and it's not cheerful, and I feel bad before I even say anything. But I want to talk about Palantir. Can we talk about Palantir a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you familiar with Palantir? Because I'll explain it to the audience.
I am loosely familiar.
Sure.
Yes,
So Palantir is an American data analytics company that develops software platforms to help organizations integrate, manage, analyze, and derive insights from large, complex data sets. So the key ingredient to their success is data on stuff. Okay. Its main software platforms, Gotham and Foundry, are used by government agencies like the CIA and the FBI, as well as commercial businesses in various sectors. The company's technology can be used for a wide range of applications, such as counterterrorism, optimizing supply chains. I mean, cool. It's a little weird. And drug discovery.
Right.
It seems like it's also way out there.
Yeah.
It's become increasingly integrated with artificial intelligence. Core business. Palantir provides data analysis software platforms that help clients analyze and make sense of vast amounts of data. Key platform, such as Gotham, is used by defense and intelligence agencies, and Foundry for commercial enterprises. The customer base are clients that include government entities like the Department of Defense, FBI, and IRS, as well as commercial companies in sectors like healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. Its software is used for diverse purposes, including tracking down terrorists, managing vaccine distribution, and optimizing oil and gas output. The AI integration that Palantir has expanded its platforms to incorporate and leverage artificial intelligence for enhanced data analysis. The company has faced criticism for its contracts with government agencies like ICE and others for the potential misuse of its technology. Founded in 2003, the company is headquartered in Denver, Colorado, and the name comes from a fictional artifact in J.R.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings saga. Palantir's future plans center on the widespread adoption and integration of artificial intelligence platforms in both government and commercial sectors, aiming for significant revenue growth and operational efficiencies through its AI leverage. So the things on their strategy that kind of bug me. One, the accelerated U.S. commercial growth. And we're talking what? I have a number here. Year over year into quarter 3 of 2025, their growth was 121%. So beyond doubled what their revenue was from Q3 last year. It's deepened government and defense ties are always frightening, especially with Trump's executive order to integrate systems that allow Palantir's big data eaters, so to speak, to be worked in. And I really wish more of the Republican Party would be like, tech forward thought is not a bad idea, but please guard the enemy at the gates when you do it. This is kind of a little too strong. Just my personal opinion. Their technological leadership in AI, their operational efficiency and headcount management. Alex Karp, their CEO, is crazy. Like, you should listen to some of the stuff this guy says in interviews. And their strategic partnerships, which really bother me. They have major technology and industry players they're partnering with, including NVIDIA for integrated AI tech stacks. That's also stuff that's going to wind up making it on hard chips and future graphics cards and other places. And it's collaborations with companies like Archer Aviation and One MedNet. So we're talking about the aviation sector and medical now. And it wants to apply its next-gen technology toward those industries to help bolster growth that's not just overweighted on government and cyber and like government intelligence agencies and contracts.
So Hydra, you're describing Hydra.
That's what I'm wanting you to draw the conclusion of a little bit. Is overall, Palantir's future plans are focused on solidifying its position as a leading provider of AI software, driving sustained and high margin growth across both public and private sectors at the same time, by the way, by making its platforms indispensable to its customers' operations. So when we start to talk about in the government data sets on citizens of the United States, for example, and a lot of these people are in the pocket of places like Palantir because of the government contracts that they have a damn near monopoly on in the technology initiatives out there, at least all the ones that have been made public in the last couple of years. It's frightening to think that who needs a database on your guns when they can just build a database on you? I mean, you have to file taxes. The IRS is a customer of this data analytics company.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it is.
We're talking some Hydra level scary. American owned or not, I don't give a fuck what their liner notes say. Like the scalability that they're pushing on public and private sectors on quintessentially the same platform, even if its end use case is a different user story, the technology is eidetic. Like, I don't like that at all.
This entire corporation, the existence of Palantir is antithetical to the Fourth Amendment and to the 14th Amendment and to the Fifth Amendment. Like, it is so antithetical to the privacy of the American citizen on so many levels that it makes the Patriot Act look like a clown show. Like, this is so wildly overreaching. And, we get our boomer types here in town who are mad at the technology of LPRs being on cop cars, which is essentially a cassette recorder in comparison to what is going on in Palantir. And, it doesn't have any, that doesn't have anywhere near, it is such an archaic technology in comparison to what they're doing algorithmically that literally strips you of every bit of your constitutional God-given privacy rights that, are supposed to be protected. And they are just whole hog going after all of your information, everybody's information, and taking the biggest net that they can, scooping it all up, and creating algorithms to decide how and which way the laws of society, the medicine of society, the currency of society, all of it is steered. And this is the company doing that.
And you have to ask yourself, how does a company stock price at $15.66 on January 5th of 2024 reach $207.52 per share on November 3rd, 2025? 992.63% gain.
Do you have any indicators as to what caused that?
Yeah, government contracts and their deal with NVIDIA. And remember, NVIDIA is the one that's powering next generation AI with all of the hardware and the silica chips that they're going to wind up producing, and are already in contracts with big data firms like Meta, like Google, like Adobe.
Which is what we spoke about last week.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah. So, yeah, we are effed with a capital F. And there's literally nothing that we can do to stop this outside of crippling the economy and the country. It's the cancer that's too far metastasized to actually be able to remove it at this point without destroying multiple avenues of industry.
And it goes back to
it's so
the same question about the science stuff. Everything. Why? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, what is the end game? What is the purpose of it? And they can say for whatever reasons that they'll come up with, high-end security or for functionality and processing or whatever excuses they come up with. None of it is long term. There has to be a long term reason to invest this kind of money, and it's not just to make things run smoother or for us to be slightly safer or whatever the case may be, because none of those things are actually reality. And these tools are meant to be implemented in a detriment to people, not in a building up of society. And so now what we're going to end up having, like, you can only, if you follow this path long enough, it only leads to one conclusion, which is the exact conclusion that we were just talking about with the Bill Gates science stuff. And it all funnels to one direction. And what they need more than anything is data. Mm-hmm. And this is what this is doing. It's data collecting on every single person. And,
I guess my 2025 Christmas wish list now includes a new entry, because for years it was, it would be a magical Christmas if the Internal Revenue Service audited the Federal Reserve, which is no more federal than Federal Express. I think it's now moving toward, hey, Republican Party, if we can get super pissed off at the data misuse of the customer base of TikTok because it's Chinese owned, can we please look into stopping that on the U.S. soil with places like Palantir as well?
Right, where you actually have conviction power, where you actually have the ability to stop something like this, because 100%. It's within,
maybe you can't do a whole lot.
You can leverage a Chinese company in certain ways with tariffs and other types of, or shutting it off entirely and shutting off your revenue stream or whatever, and kind of leverage a Chinese company that way, but you have no legal authority over it. So you have to use other means.
Right.
Here with Palantir, we do have legal authority to do something if it is a detriment to, and the people speak up loud enough and say, we don't want this type of invasion. We don't want this privacy, corruption. Can we put a stop to this and actually have our government do what it's supposed to do and protect the people within its borders from things like this?
And I want to be clear, they don't build the data sets. They outsource all or sell their software to big customers that have big data sets, such as the IRS and the FBI and now the medical industry in certain parts, and they're moving toward aviation and all these other places. So just to be clear, there's a real thick barrier there of safety. It's brutal. It takes one executive order to tie that knot into a global, global database for counterterrorism, coupled with a local database for surveillance on U.S. citizens, which I'm pretty sure is against the law. Who cares? It's freaky, dude. This stuff's really, really freaky. And I started kind of digging into them about a year ago. And it's just with some of the recent announcements out of Washington and stuff about who's behind all this and the new data centers that are coming up everywhere. It's really on my radar. And Palantir keeps popping up over and over again. And I'm like, this feels a lot worse than they're saying that it is, as far as the amount of command and control that one company could have. And their CEO, I've watched some interviews of, is a whack job. Like, yeah, sure, our product kills some people, but it also does some good. I don't see a difference.
Yeah. Just completely soulless.
Okay.
Completely.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm nobody, but hey, there you go. But yeah, it is critical though, by the way. The software is considered critical for national security applications, such as the AI-enabled military system adopted by NATO. So just want to throw that out there.
Right. As always. Yep. Yeah. They always lean on that.
God, NATO's such a great place, dude. Those guys are awesome. I don't see what everyone's concerned about.
This actually folds almost seamlessly into my conspiracy corner this week.
Let's go.
But what it does is it almost makes the hat unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because it's almost as if this is like outdated or even like small beans in comparison to Palantir, but I think it ties in because I think it was part of exactly what you're talking about, which is the data collecting on such a grand scale and through a backdoor sideways nonsense type of situation where it has come out that Pokemon Go, which was a very popular game, mobile game, and starting from 2016 when it came out, that it has come out that it's being used by 3 later agencies, including the CIA, as data collecting for where did all this go? It all went directly towards where Palantir is now taking a lot of this data, because this is different. This isn't mapping humans in algorithms. This is actually mapping places and also habits of humans in those places. So Pokemon Go was created by a guy named John Hankey in 2016 for Niantic, which is Niantic, and it is an augmented reality game, which means you, on your phone or on your device, you see the real world, but you see other like characters from Pokemon within the world. And if for the viewers who don't know, it was this huge game that went all over. It's got as of 2018, it had 147 million monthly subscribers worldwide and over 1 billion downloads in 2018. So, but this game took over. I remember when it took over, I wanted to actually make, it was so hot, I wanted to make the tattoo shop a Pokemon Go site where the characters would pop up and people would have to come in and actually with their device and actually capture Pokemon in my shop, just getting them in the door. I thought it would be a fun little marketing scheme.
They just lock them in there and
and then tattoo them until they cry. Yeah,
you're here now. Yeah, I like it.
But it's a free, once you sign up, it's free to play, which is super inviting. But once you find out what it's actually doing, because the point of it is that it automates different Pokemon all over the city, all over the air. You can travel around, walk around, do whatever, and go find them. You'd be driving down the road, oh, there's some special Pokemon over there, and you'd pull off to the side of the road and go over and capture Pokemon with your phone. And what it was doing was actually mapping and collecting data on mapping everywhere, including buildings. If they couldn't figure out a building, they'd just auto-populate a bunch of Pokemon inside the building and then have random people just playing a game, not knowing what they were doing, walking in, and they could actually map from their data that they had within their storage of their device on, and it would just map out that building, and they go, cool.
Genius.
And they'd log it away. Yeah. And so John Hankey.
Did you know Ring cameras do the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they map neighborhoods, and you can even log into your neighbor's Ring camera if you share it with the neighbor's app so that you can see through their eyes, kind of thing, from their locations. But they actively have jurisdictions that help investigators and local police precincts by open sourcing neighborhood mapping through smart cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, we've thought about getting a camera system. But I said the only way that we would do a camera system is the way that like you have it at your house, where it's not
local
connected
only.
to. Yeah. So, but John Hankey, a little background on this guy, he actually worked early on for Google. Well, first he was in the military, and he actually worked for the U.S. Foreign Services in Myanmar, and then he went to Berkeley. UC Berkeley immediately after, so he worked for the foreign services for the U.S. government, and actually was stationed in Myanmar. Something happened there. Then he went and attended UC Berkeley to learn to develop mapping and gaming technology. And then he worked for Google, which he created Google Earth and Google Maps. And then he started Keyhole, which was a mapping technology based off of Google Earth and Google Maps. But openly funded by the CIA and InQtech. And he started trying to figure out how to integrate AI and adding AI into it. But then NVIDIA was another one of the places that actually invested in him. So NVIDIA invested into Keyhole. Keyhole was then bought by Google, and so on and so forth. But then he started Niantic Labs, that was an offshoot of Google. And so and then created Pokemon Go as his first venture. Actually, it was his second venture, because they started off with a pilot program, a game called Ingress, which came out in 2013, 3 years prior. And it was a game that did essentially the same thing, but it didn't have like an IP attached to it. It was kind of its own game. And it wasn't extremely popular. It was just basically a test subject, so they could grab a big IP, throw it on there, knowing full well that everyone in the world would jump on a Pokemon game that did this, where you could run around and capture Pokemon. And then literally they knew that it was gonna lose money. It was called a successful disaster, because it loses money. It doesn't make money, but they don't
commercially
care,
it's not viable, but the idea worked perfectly.
Yeah, due to other priorities, that's what the value is in. It has nothing to do with the monetary, even though it makes an enormous amount of money. It's just, it doesn't make enough money to make it considered a success of a video game. But in the billions, it makes billions of dollars. Something like, I think it pulled in even last year over $6 billion in revenue. But they started integrating AI into it, so that way it could start creating algorithmic connections to a lot of different things. And it's not just this game. There's other games too, like Jurassic World Alive, Monster Hunter, Pikmin Bloom. There's a bunch of these, augmented reality type games that do exactly the same thing. So if you're not playing Pokemon, it doesn't matter. There's 10 other games that are doing exactly the same thing. They are mapping the world, and they are mapping it and storing that data. And on top of that, they are banned. The game is banned in the Pentagon and in almost every U.S. and international government building. You cannot have these games in there, and it's entirely banned in China. In Russia, they allowed it, but they were skeptical of it. But in Russia, a guy got 3.5 years because besides just all of the spy tech that this is collecting data for, it also has like other real world problems, like people are running into traffic and getting hit. People are falling off of cliffs because they're not paying attention. They're just looking at the Pokemon. But in Russia, one of the things that happened is a guy got 3.5 years for blasphemy law because he was in the Church of All Saints trying to capture Pokemon, and it was blasphemy, and he ended up going to prison for 3.5 years for it. But just as a side note, I thought that was kind of funny.
Addiction, man.
Right, but because they know it's spyware, they don't allow it to be in government buildings. It was so popular in 2016 that when Hillary Clinton herself was running for president of the United States, on stage, she literally is quoted as saying, "Pokemon go to the polls." Like, that's the level of saturation it had made, where a crazy old boomer lady knew that she could absolutely think that she was touching a different generation by saying something
this distinctly. Like I was still going into the office in those days and watching all the people that were office goers on all their breaks and lunches and stuff running around the parking lot in different parts of the building and all that stuff trying to capture Pokemon. And I was like, I don't understand what Pokemon are or why they're valuable. I was like, it's like a trading card game like Magic the Gathering, right? They're like, well, kind of, but I'm like, don't explain the lore. I'm not going to pursue understanding of it. But yeah, I remember watching people like run into each other and bonk heads and stuff because they were just glued to their phones. So I believe it.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So there's the implications that people are like, so what's the big deal if they map stuff out? It's just like Google Earth, right? Well, no, because what they're doing is they're gridding it out. They're putting their algorithms to it. And what this will allow for in real world technology is this will all be downloaded into, you've seen those robot dogs that everyone's terrified of now with the guns on the backs. Yeah. They'll be able to track you down, no problem, because they know every single building, they know every single step of everywhere because it's all been.
My beloved robot vacuum, just break into that database and they'll have the map to my house and all that stuff.
Exactly. That's
what all there.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Drone strikes, algorithmic predictive crime, like basically Minority Report. At this point, like it is tied into exactly that,
the
where
pre-crime division.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff that this could be very, very, very scary for. But the fact is that the whole point of this segment is Pokemon Go a CIA op, which it absolutely is. It was funded by the CIA. The guy who created it was a CIA asset. No questions about it. And his whole sole purpose, this isn't something he accidentally had an interest in and fell into it. He was guided and driven into creating this and funded to do this, by multiple different agencies, including NVIDIA and the CIA and in Q-Tech. And then this is all tied in to what's going on with Palantir, because this is more data that gets stored and put into the Palantir situation. So there not only is everything that you have online and everything you are as a person now known by Palantir, but everywhere you go. It's all mapped. It's all, and you did it. Like a bunch of like old people are like, I didn't play that game. They don't have any. I was like, it doesn't matter. There's over 60 million people in the United States alone that actually played that game and mapped out your world.
Do you have a Google account?
Yeah.
They map everything, including text messages.
So you think you're off grid, or you think that like you don't even have internet at your house or whatever. I'm thinking of particular people, and that no one can get to you. You have your one cell phone, but that's it. Sorry, you're mapped. The whole thing's mapped, and
Dude, they made a movie about this too. Did you ever watch the last installment of the Jason Bourne series called Jason Bourne in 2016?
I did not.
Exact same premise. The CIA was funding a fictitious company called Deep Dream, and they gave them all the backdoor money for their startup with the intent that they would get the data basically behind the scenes to feed this massive intelligence software that they leverage and that they needed. And the leverage over the character was that he's going to go public and expose the government's involvement, and then they're basically going to crash his company and all this stuff. And it was like the B plot line for the Jason Bourne plot line above it.
Right.
Exactly what you just described was executed in that movie, also released in 2016. So
oddly, huh? Like they're kind of telling you up front, like they have to,
hey, yeah,
so,
this could never happen, but it's happening right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
am I in on this week's conspiracy? Yes. I'm in.
100% yes.
Yeah.
This is almost unnecessary. Because it's almost not even a conspiracy. It's pretty much out there.
Hats off to you, conspiracy. You were actually right.
Right. And it is confirmed. The CIA element of this has been confirmed for over a year now.
Because he funded the keyhole, right?
Yep. So, but yeah,
they funded him while he built Keyhole, I guess is how I should say that. But
right.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so Pokemon Go, CIA op, and it is without a doubt, a bunch of 12 to 30-year-olds that
Jingle
have now
bells.
just.
This is such a. Oh.
So.
Next week, we're going to have a whimsical episode or something. We'll find a way to steer us toward wholesomeness and less Skynet-related topics. But good Lord. It's sad because it's all right there. And a lot of people see it and yell about it because it has TikTok on it, but not Palantir. Or because it's global warming, but it's alternative beef. Or because it's this, but it's that. It's... brutal. Anyway, wow, that was fun. That was actually fun.
Well, let me lift your spirits.
All right.
As what we are supposed to do with this segment, because we tend to kind of go down serious and darker paths with our main topics, and I don't want to leave our audience that way. So we started a new segment last week called the dope.
Yeah.
And basically I find, and at some point you'll be joining me in on this, but I find basically dopamine hits of there's still wholesomeness, there's still goodness in the world, there's still stuff that goes on that people are still finding joy, and in weird ways. Like, and I have a whole list of these that because I deal with a lot of stuff locally that is very dark and very hard to deal with and very stressful, and so I need kind of a escape from that. And so, and I know that it's trash, trash material, that it's, junk media, but it's okay when I know that it's also wholesome, that I find nostalgia in it. I find something that can take me away from the reality of what craziness is going on in the world or locally. And that's why we call it the dope, because it's dope channels that I have found that I would like to give accolades to, give props to, and then tell our audience, hey, go follow these guys. Now, there is something that, as a 47-year-old man who grew up in the mid-90s or mid-80s to mid-90s, there is I love baseball. I'm obviously a big baseball fan, and I collected baseball cards as a kid. I was one of those kids that loved, me and my brothers would collect baseball cards and trade them, and then go to baseball card shows and trade with our friends, and we're doing all the chasing. But there's an era, along with comic books, baseball cards had an era between like 1986 to like 1998, where comic books and baseball cards and collectibles were mass overproduced in an enormous amount. It's just known. 90s comic books are pretty much not worth anything due to the fact that the death of Superman and Spawn #1 and all these, there was millions of copies that were made. So there was no scarcity to any of these. And it was across the board. Like almost all 90s comic books are pretty much worthless. Same with baseball cards. Baseball cards were just mass, like overproduced to a level that 30 years later, we're still opening unsealed boxes of baseball cards from those eras. So that era is called the junk wax era, and wax being wax packs, where you would rip open some baseball cards, pull out the gum, eat the gum, and then go through the cards. Well, there has been an entire trend of channels of guys my age, or roughly thereabout, who are deep into the nostalgia and have gotten back into the baseball card collecting world. Some of them own shops, some of them are just regular guys, but they do channels where every day they post, and all you see is their hands. And they've got a couple of card stands in front of them, like little plastic card stands. Some of them decorate their area a little bit, some of them just on a table. And it's guys, and you never see their face, it's just their voice, and they'll hold up a pack of, this is 1987 Donruss. We're going to open up a pack, and they just open up a pack of baseball cards. Some of them eat the gum, which is super gross, but other ones don't. And they'll open up the pack, and then they'll go through, and it sets me back immediately. I'm a kid again. I'm opening up that pack of cards, hoping I get the Jose Canseco or the Mark McGuire or the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card or any of that era of baseball stars, right? And they do other sports too, but I kind of stick to the baseball ones because that's where my nostalgic tick is. And so there's a bunch of different channels that do exactly this, and they'll go, this is 86 Tops, or 1989 Upper Deck, and they'll open up a pack of cards and just kind of go, oh look, I got an Ozzie Smith, oh look, I got a Cal Ripken Jr., and kind of some of them have jokes that they kind of interlace with the content, and they're 30, probably a minute or two long, but there's so many of them that I can get quite a few of them in my feed throughout the day. But like some of these channels are like POS Breaks, Sal's Junk Wax, Abe Stark Cards, Rob Opens Wax, Jason Opens Cards. And if you just go to a couple of those and subscribe to them on Instagram or Facebook, or even they've got channels on YouTube and such. If you just go and subscribe to them, it'll open you up to other ones too. Yeah, they'll just kind of flood you with all those. But man, it is just a lot of fun.
The unlocking of the part of the algorithm that's unboxing channels, whatever that may be. Yeah.
Right. And so I get fed a ton of these wax packs opening junk wax channels, and I have gotten just a lot of joy out of it. It's brought me back to when I was a kid going, oh, I had that card. I remember that card. Man, I had that Wade Boggs. That was my favorite Wade Boggs, and it brings you back to that kind of really healthy, wholesome era of baseball, and it brings you back to that time frame when you can smell the gum and you can smell the cards even through the screen, and it just kind of shuts out the world for a little bit and brings you back to that magical point of when baseball cards were everything. You had your whole brick of baseball cards, and you'd trade with your friends, and oh man, just so many good memories, so many good feelings attached to it. And so I think these guys have really kind of stumbled into a thing that I think a lot of men my age really miss, and they miss that kind of wholesomeness of remembering what the 80s and 90s were like for kids. And I highly recommend it if you're a guy my age, or even if you just find old baseball stuff, and baseball cards interesting. This was a really fun kind of thing that kind of, I don't even think I looked for it. I think I just found one day. It just came across my algorithm, and now I'm flooded with them. Now it's like I can get probably 10 of these a day, and it's great. I love it. So highly recommend that. That is my dope of the week, is baseball junk wax opening channels. And if you can go to POS Breaks, Abe Stark Cards, Sal's Junk Wax, Rob Opens Wax, and Jason Opens Cards. And go follow those guys. Tell them I sent you, and it's just a lot of fun. But that's my dope of the week.
That's awesome, because I'm not really into baseball. Was very head over heels for the Desert Storm trading cards from 1991 in the pro set.
I had those, yeah.
Yeah, there's a George Bush and a gender bending Janet Reno portrait. There's a bunch of cool stuff.
The Storm and Norman Schwarzkopf card was always the one I was looking for.
The corners are bent on my Wolf Blitzer. I can't get very much for this.
No, but those are great, man. Those were wild.
You can buy them on eBay. I'm looking right now. You can get a pack of 91 Pro Set Desert Storm trading cards for George H.W. Bush near mint for $3.50 right now. eBay. They still have some sealed sets. This is great. The 90s, what a wild time to be alive, huh?
Yeah, because that's the thing, is they overproduced even all the like non-sports cards, because there's a lot of them, like, yeah, but they just so overproduce them that 30 to 40 years later, there's still whole boxes of cards that you can just buy and like just rip open a whole bunch of packs.
Shit, dude, the Magic ones are wildly expensive. Like, I was in a local card store or whatever, and they had some of the original boxes, like just past I think the third edition ones and later, and the original Innistrad and all that stuff, where they're like $125 for a pack of cards, just in case you draw one of those powerful cards out of them. So it's a big deal. Crazy. Well, that's cool. I dig it. Good dope segment this week. So you have a new TV show now?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay. I was like, did his internet go? No. Again.
But I was in the middle of saying that the dope stuff is actually going to jump around from, nostalgia and sports, or different philosophical ones that I really like, or even a lot of cooking ones that I find really interesting. There's a lot of different ones that are going to be all blended in. So if this one wasn't for you, they'll be dope for you next week, but
nice.
But yeah, you're right. I do have a TV show review for our movie reviews. But today it's just a TV show because, man, movies are scarce. Like, I'm having a hard time finding any new releases coming out. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's just out of reach on the horizon. I think they're kind of waiting for, like, a lot of these a lot of the streaming services have, like, prestige TV shows that they really want to get as much eyes on as possible. Yeah. So they're holding back a bunch of movies. Stranger Things being one of them. I have yet to start on that season. Kind of holding off until there's a few more episodes out, which I've been doing with this show, which I have been watching on HBO Max. Welcome to Derry, which is a show that is a Stephen King show connected to the It universe, which is essentially connected to all of his movie or all of his books, but this one is very directly to Derry, the town that It and the multiple movies have been connected to as Derry, in, I think, Maine, if I'm not mistaken. Is this like a
origin story type of setting?
Kind of, yeah. It's set in the 60s, I believe, early 60s, 62. Yep. And it's about a military couple and their son, African American couple that moved to Derry, Maine, in he is part of a secret military operation there that is set up just outside of Derry, and it also follows a bunch of other kids, like kids in town, and disappearances. And now, at first, I thought it was moving a little slow. At first, I thought it was a little preachy. At first, I thought it was, but I was kind of trying to stay interested and was hoping that it wasn't just a money grab kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as it's gone on, I'm 8 episodes in, they've got 2 more left. I've been actually very impressed with not only are they connecting the lore, they've got so much lore to it that could be explored, and they're doing it in such a proper way that they're tying in characters to The Shining. They're tying in characters to that were like creepy but kind of like side characters in It, like an old lady from It, the original movies, that you find out is tied into Pennywise, and all of these different things. They're doing such a good job of stitching the lore together from a bunch of different of the IPs that are all kind of surrounding this phenomenon of The Shining, the side stories are really interesting. The acting is really good. And what it does is it gives you story push through each episode, but then also gives you a real good kind of creepy, special effects kind of horror situation that kind of, if you didn't get one, you'd be kind of like, well, this is kind of boring, but they really do a good job with tying in multiple different strands that are all culminating into one kind of end result, giving you a lot of really cool backstory that I don't think, because a lot of times I don't want to know the backstory. A lot of times I'm like, no, I want evil to be mysterious and evil for evil's sake. But in this particular case, there's so much lore outside of the It universe that are in the books, are in the short stories, are in other books, are in other movies, that and comics and all sorts of stuff that have already kind of painted a broader picture of the origins of Pennywise, the origins of why he's in Derry, that have never really been like dialed in, but this dials it in. And I felt like it felt natural. It didn't feel like they were forcing it. And they're doing such a good job that I'm really impressed, and I'm actually looking forward to how they wrap up the season. Now, much like a lot of the other shows that we watch, like Alien Earth, I could be completely thrown off on the last episode or two, and it just kind of wrecks it all, and they just kind of take a sideways, but as of right now, I'm very excited. It's been very fun to watch. It has kept me, watching it, and I don't like doing, horror stuff outside of October, but I really didn't have a choice in this matter. But I would give it, thus far, and this could change, I'll give an update once the season's over, but at this point, it's a solid 8 megs.
A conditional 8 megs.
A conditional 8 megs, yeah. So, but yeah, conditional 8 megs. If you're into Stephen King, if you're into kind of spooky horror stuff, then I recommend it. I think that anybody who's a fan of this, fan of the genre, fan of it, will appreciate what they're doing with this show. So
nice. Yeah. I have notably been absent in recent weeks from the movie review side of our show. I've canceled many of the subscription services I have, save for I still have, I think the Paramount one and the Amazon one are connected, and Amazon Prime, so I have to watch the commercial version or whatever, the ones with commercials in them. But it has opened me up to a lot of free time to write music and fictional stories for the campaign, and it's been a lot more fun and rewarding to not have a vice to be like, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow because my thing is on kind of deal. But I am looking forward to some prestige-ish shows coming back, such as Fallout. That's coming right around the corner. Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
but I'll get back into it when I get some time and I'm not finding enjoyment in other things. Then I turn back to rabid movie watching. But anyway, it's not because I don't like movies, guys.
Well, and next week, what we'll do is in the spirit of Christmas and just in the spirit of making a much more upbeat episode, we'll do that top 10 Christmas list for our movie reviews. So, but that's what we'll do in that segment. But we do have our Overlord tip of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We do. And we are at number 10 this week. Number 10 in the Overlord tip of the week. And I think it's crucial. I think it's a good one. This one makes a lot of just basic sense.
Okay.
Why do we always feel the need to interrogate our enemies or our adversaries close to home? Like, we bring them to us, and then we always in our inner sanctum, right? You know, why do we always feel the need to like bring them into the inner sanctum and actually interrogate them there? They don't need to be there. They don't need to be anywhere near there. I will not interrogate my enemies in the inner sanctum at all. A small hotel well outside my border will work just as well.
Yeah, that's great.
I
couldn't agree more.
You can mess that place up.
I would say, though, while I wholeheartedly agree, that it does make for better storytelling. You know, say, for example, you have a group of players that don't want to meet a Malkavian Primogen on their turf, but I mean, is it really that much fun if they don't go or don't accidentally find their way there, or some such narrative-driven excuse to have such rich storytelling unfold? I couldn't possibly imagine how that would relate to your life, but I'm just saying, I think it fits with tonight's Overlord tip. So
I was just being cautious.
I mean, it's a smart thing to do, right? Neutral ground. Get them away from, like, they don't need to know where your secret lair is. Why bring them to you? It makes perfect sense. I get it. It's just bad storytelling. That's all it is. But it's efficient if you're an Overlord.
But it's efficient if you're an Overlord. You're not trying to tell a story. You're trying to rule whatever region you're trying to rule, whether it be the planet or just the county or whatever. But what is important is that it is efficiency, which seems to be the running theme here.
That's true.
Is that why bring them to you? Why give them an opportunity to see your surroundings, to give them an insight if something were to happen and they got away or they passed on the information through other means, whatever the case may be? No. Also, it's messy. Like, if you're interrogating somebody properly, it's going to get messy. So mess up a hotel room, like, especially one off the side of some off-beaten road in the middle of nowhere, some $40 motel room, and you can just, you know, who cares? The bed sheets are already bloody anyway. Who cares? Like, that's where you do it, and that's where you can leave the body or leave, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, you interrogate them there. If they survive the interrogation, you leave them stranded. They don't know where your inner sanctum is anymore. Right. They don't know where you're supposed to. Yeah.
If they were tied up in the trunk, the only thing they could tell the authorities is how many lefts and rights and about how long they were back there for. And it's going to lead them right to the hotel, not to you. So take them somewhere else. Exactly. Get them out of there. I love it.
Yeah.
Overlord tip number 10. Rules to live by.
Yeah. So, that does it for me this week. How about you? What do you got going on?
I think the same thing. I have nothing going on, and to me, that's exciting. So that is it. But yeah, we'll try to actually enter the holiday spirit with some content next week, and it won't be all Skynetty.
Doom and gloom.
We'll try.
Yeah.
We might have a little Skynet in there. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on where Conspiracy Corner goes for the holidays.
I'll try to find a Christmas one. I'll try to find a Christmas
we're going to learn that, was it NORAD that put up the follow Santa around the world thing? Who was it that did that, where you could log in and you could see, it was like a space program or something, and they'd have like where you could follow Santa Claus where he actually was in the world. We're going to find out that was some sort of secret mapping.
Palantir.
It's just some Palantir bullshit. It's like, oh man, even Santa Claus?
Even Santa.
Rudolph is a turncoat. You're like, oh God, what? Like, he's a Russian spy?
Communist.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, no, we'll come back.
Red-nosed reindeer.
He must be in South America. We'll find some fun holiday stuff for y'all next week, but that's it for me this week, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome night. Sorry about the tech problems at the beginning. I'll try to splice what I have.